to allow yourself to receive the music, you can close your eyes, sway. Once you're in and along with the music and with the lyrics, then feel free to join in and sing. We'll start with I, you, and we.
A unique expression of God's love, the manifestation of God's inspiration. I am God's gift, present of mind, a unique expression of God's love. The manifestation of God's inspiration. Sing, you are God's gift, present of mind, a unique expression of God's love. The manifestation of God's inspiration. We are God's gift, present of mind, a unique expression of God's love. The manifestation of God's inspiration.
Thank you for joining us here today. Knowing that the divine creator, by whatever name you call it, is here, it's with us. It's blessing our center and all who enter. I ask you to take this time to focus with me on that beacon through the dark, that beacon through fear, that beacon that's implanted in each one of us by that divine consciousness that's ever-present, unending, infinite possibilities and infinite power. This beacon that shines within us, that's electrified with a light that we cannot see. A beacon that thunders and roars with a divinity that is placed within us we cannot hear. That divinity that unites us, that beacon that is the light that we share with each one of us in our center, in our lives, in our country, in our neighborhoods, in our family. That beacon inside that unites us as humanity. I ask you to breathe this in with me, knowing that wherever you are and whatever you're going through, it's all an illusion. That everything is power, everything is energy, everything is God. And God does not make mistakes. And there's no place that God is not, and there's nothing that God cannot do. And we're told that hell is a place where God is not, but God is everywhere. And God lets us know this truth through our beacon, the beacon of our heart, the beacon that is the heart of our soul, the heart of our minds, the heart of our bodies. And we come together this day to share the love and the joy of this beacon, because it's that spark that is God. It's that spark that connects us as one. And knowing that with God, we cannot go wrong. Knowing that with God, we're all worthy and deserving of love. We're all worthy and deserving of peace and joy. And I'm knowing this for our center. I'm knowing this for the world. And I know that our center is also that beacon of light, of hope, of sharing, of equality, of spirit, and of love. So in this truth, I know there can be no other way but this divine truth, that God is all there is, and all there is God, and it's all good, all the time. So in thankfulness, and love, and humility, and abundance and joy, I release my word into the law that is good, the law that is fair, the law that is light, life, and love. And so it is.
So it is. When we come back in, we'll be we, you, I. And I invite you to use these words for yourself. Don't be afraid to say I. We, here we go. We are God's gift, heavenly presence of mind, a unique expression of God's love. The manifestation of God's inspiration. You are God's gift, present of mind, a unique expression of God's love. The manifestation of God's inspiration. I am God's gift, present of mind, a unique expression of God's love. The manifestation of God's inspiration. I am God's gift.
All right, if you would, please read along with me our April affirmation. I let my gentleness reveal my giant self. There is one God, one divine intelligence. It is in all, as all. I am an individualized expression of this all. As such, I am perfect, whole, and complete as I am. Each and every moment is sacred and holy. I have the faith of God instead of merely a faith in God. Active faith and dedication to our principles bring into form the life I was meant to live. I know that under divine law, all things are possible, and so it is. And Edward is going to do a reading for us now.
All right, I'm still adjusting to this turning 60 thing, so y'all gotta bear with me. Love is the essential flame of the universe, nay, the very fire itself. It is written that God is love, and that we are its express likeness, the image of the eternal being. Love is self-givingness through creation, the impartation of the divine through the human. Love is an essence, an atmosphere, which defies analysis, as does life itself. It is that which is and cannot be explained. It is common to all people, to all animal life, and evident in the response of plants to those who love them. Love reigns supreme over all. The essence of love, while elusive, pervades everything, fires the heart, stimulates the emotions, renews the soul, and proclaims the spirit. Only love knows love, and love knows only love. Words cannot express the depths or meaning. A universal sense alone bears witness to the divine fact: God is love, and love is God.
So it is.
Okay, now going back to something we have done in the past, but before we do, I just want to take a minute. It's just such a great day to put our attention on this with John being here today and the topic of peace. And there is such a need, as we know, in the world today for peace in so many places, in so many different ways. So before we get up and greet each other, do me a favor, just close your eyes. Breathe in gently. And let's just take a few seconds, minute of silence, just Now please stand up, greet each other, wish each other peace, and carry that peace with you.
So once again, good morning. At the top of our service, you notice we had a song called I Expect a Miracle. So I think miracle is our theme today in so many ways. This is a song we haven't done in a very, very long time, so it's just kind of special. I want to make sure that you're with us on it. It's a song I wrote about you. Communicate without a word. Your private thoughts are never heard. Your ears have eyes to lead the way when the darkness steals the light of day. Oh, you're a miracle. Oh, what a miracle. Oh, you're a miracle. Oh, such a miracle. Oh, your mind can see what's not revealed. Your look can hurt, your thoughts can heal. Your senses know to tell you when there's danger in the hearts of men. Oh, you're a miracle. Oh, what a miracle. Oh, you're a miracle. Oh, such a miracle. Just take a look at your reflection, that blessed image that you see, with feelings of love and affection. Allow your miracle to be in sleep. Our souls rejuvenate, and through our veins blood circulates. Our thoughts reveal, command and steal those memories of mind recall. Our hearts can feel to overflow. Such joy, such peace, such love we know. And when it's time to pass away, we leave behind some love to stay. You are a miracle. You are a miracle. Sing along with me, please. Oh, you're a miracle. Oh, what a miracle. Oh, you're a miracle. Oh, such a miracle. Yeah. Oh, you're a miracle. Oh, what a miracle. Oh, you're a miracle. Oh, such a miracle. Turn to the person next to you and sing. Oh, you're a miracle. Oh, what a miracle. Oh, you're a miracle. Oh, such a miracle. One more time. Oh, you're a miracle. Oh, what a miracle. Oh, you're a miracle. Oh, such a miracle. One more time, one more time. Oh, you're a miracle. Oh, such a miracle. Oh, you're a miracle. Oh, such a miracle. Oh, you're a miracle. Oh, what a miracle. You are. Yeah, thank you.
It's a miracle that we have these people here behind me. I don't know, Celine, you tend to be the historian here for us. How long have you guys all been playing together for us here? It's at least a half an hour.
Well, we got here at 9.
Okay. pretty tight for being a nun.
Probably, well, altogether, it's probably been maybe 14 years.
14.
That's why,
Wow.
but in different configurations, we go back to almost the beginning.
Yeah.
Wow.
I go back to
The
the beginning.
beginning.
And I'm right behind you.
Like the Big Bang beginning, or well, that would be appropriate for you, the Big Bang, yeah, for sure. So, all right. So, I've been saying how fortunate we are today to have our guest speaker, and one of the beautiful things is that. Ramananda John E. Welshons is our speaker today, and John has been a friend of our community for a long time too. He's been here a number of times, and it is wonderful to have him back again. And for those of you who have not heard John talk, listen closely and learn. This gentleman has so much to offer. Buy his books, absorb what he has to offer. That's what we're here for. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. And this gentleman will offer you enormous opportunities to do that. Aside from that, he's just a really nice guy, But let me tell you specifically his background. John is a highly respected contemporary spiritual teacher who weaves together the mystical and the contemplative branches of the world's great wisdom traditions. He lectures and leads meditation workshops and retreats across North America and is one of the most respected authorities on how to use life's inevitable difficulties as the steps on our path of spiritual awakening. He has been closely affiliated with spiritual luminaries Ram Dass, Stephen Levine, and trained with Elisabeth Kubler-Ross. He has been practicing various forms of meditation and yoga for more than 50 years and has traveled and studied extensively in India, spending time in the ashrams of Neem, Karoli Baba, and Meher Baba. He is the author of 3 critically acclaimed books: One Soul, One Love, One Heart, Awakening from Grief, and When Prayers Are Answered, all published by New World Library and all available on the back table, so before you leave today. And you can find him at johnwelshons.com. And you can also find him on Facebook. Don't let him out of here today without meeting him, greeting him, and talking to him personally. He's just a wonderful, wonderful resource and a vault of wisdom and comfort. Welcome. My pleasure. As you're comfortable, do what you want.
Okay, great, thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Ty. Thank you, all the musicians. Thank all of you. Thank you for coming. Wonderful to see you. Wonderful to feel you. Wonderful to be in your presence. I was fascinated when I was listening to all of you, led by Neil, read the statement of who you think you are. And my friend Ram Dass used to say to us, whoever you think you are, you aren't. And that can be a little unsettling sometimes, but we're going through such an extraordinarily challenging time in the history of the human species on this planet. And I don't know about you, but I know sometimes it can get a little agitating and frightening. frustrating, and yet we come together as a community on Sundays to endeavor to immerse ourselves in all of these qualities: love, healing and forgiveness, community, diversity, and inclusion, authenticity and freedom, faith and possibility, prosperity consciousness, and spiritual education. And I guess what I'd like to recommend is that we not think of those things as something we do for an hour on Sunday. I've been thinking a lot about my friend Ram Dass because I've been writing some reminiscences about him and our nearly 50-year friendship. And along the path, we ran into a wonderful teacher named Emmanuel, who was a channeled being, channeled through a friend of ours named Pat Rodegast. And there was a time when Ram Dass first came back from India in the 1960s, actually 1967. And does anybody not know who Ram Dass is? I see a few hands, sort of. Okay, so I'll tell you quickly. Ram Dass was born Richard Alpert into a wealthy family in Boston, and he wound up becoming a psychology professor at Harvard. While he was a psychology professor at Harvard, he became friendly with the guy who was in the office next door, whose name was Timothy Leary. And they began experimenting with LSD, which was legal in those days. In fact, it was manufactured here in New Jersey at what was at the time called Sandoz Pharmaceuticals in East Hanover. And they held the patent to it, and they were happy to give free LSD to anyone who had a credible research program who would research it and try to tell them what it was and what it did and what it was useful for.
I thought that's what Woodstock was.
Pardon me?
I thought Woodstock was that research.
Intermediate research there, yeah. This started in 1961. And so they designed experiments at Harvard, and through a variety of circumstances, you can use your imagination, they wound up both getting fired. They were the first professors in the history of Harvard to be fired, I think. And that's all long, interesting stories. But anyway, ultimately, what they were discovering was that they were having experiences that, and this isn't an advertisement for psychedelics by any means, but it's history. And they were having experiences that they didn't understand. And a wonderful teacher, many of you may recognize the name Houston Smith. Houston Smith was a wonderful scholar of world religions who had had experiences with psychedelics, and he came forward and he said, what you really need to do is you need to read a book called the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which described the experiences that they were having with psychedelics in minute detail. And it was 2,500 years old and had nothing to do with psychedelics. It was actually a manual designed to help Tibetan lamas die and to transition through the states of consciousness in between incarnations. Ram Dass wound up really drawn to those teachings, and he wound up going to India in 1966 and stayed for about a year and became a yogi and came back to America, and his wealthy attorney businessman father came to pick him up at Boston Logan Airport, and Ram Dass came out of the airport wearing a long white gown, barefoot, with a long beard and beads, and it was the middle of winter. And his father took one look at him and said, "Oh my God." He might have said, "Oh Jesus," but he was Jewish, so he looked at he said, "Get in the car before somebody sees you, for God's sake." So Ram Dass went on and he taught what he had learned in India. And he was really probably, if there's one person who's responsible for bringing yoga and meditation to our culture, it would be him. There were others like Yogananda and Vivekananda and so on, but Ram Dass really sort of met the crescendo of the 60s when everybody was starting to get frustrated with psychedelics, and Ram Dass said, "I have discovered a much better, much more stable, much healthier way to expand consciousness." So he was considered a credible voice, and he was also very funny and brilliant. So he taught a combination of Western psychology and Eastern spirituality, which is suffused throughout many of the spiritual teachings that we're familiar with now. You know, Eckhart Tolle is sort of a descendant of Ram Dass. I had the wonderful experience of riding around Maui, where Ram Dass lived for the last 15 years of his life. And sometimes we would listen to CDs in the car. I guess that was a long time ago. Maybe they were MP3s. I don't know. But we listened to Eckhart on the radio. So I'd ride around Maui with Ram Dass listening to Eckhart Tolle on the car radio. And Eckhart would tell stories that I knew originated with Ram Dass. And Ram Dass would just sit there going, listening to Eckhart tell his stories and go, But you know, there's nothing new. You know, Ram Dass at one point in the late 70s went on a tour, and he always liked to give the tour a name, and so each lecture would have a name. And this one tour in 1978 he titled, "Nothing New by Nobody Special." I reminded him of that a few years ago. He'd forgotten. He said, "Oh, gee, that was a good title." Now, what does that mean? You know, when I said that, he said, "Whoever you think you are, you aren't." And then he referred to his lecture as "Nothing New by Nobody Special." What does that mean? During the 70s, some of you might have read, those of you who are almost as old as me, might have read some books by Carlos Castaneda. And Carlos Castaneda was often talking about letting go of personal history. You know, what does that mean, letting go of personal history? You know, one of my favorite stories Wayne Dyer used to tell, he would say, you know, a lot of us, most of us human beings, go through our lives carrying around this huge duffel bag of stuff. And we've got it on our back, and it's so heavy it causes us to be hunched over. And he said, then we do a peculiar thing, which is every now and then we take it and put it down on the ground and open it up and reach in and pull out a few handfuls of what's in there, and it's full of manure. And then we take it and smear it all over ourselves and then wonder why our life stinks. And that's our personal history, you know? Very often I do an almost weekly meditation class on Zoom now. I used to do it at Van Vleck House until the pandemic came along, and then we started doing it on Zoom, and now we have people coming in from all over the country, and we can't get them to Van Vleck House on Wednesday nights, so we have to continue doing it on Zoom. But I often start out with a meditation in which, in fact, you can join me in this right now. So let's pretend we're starting meditation class. And you just close your eyes for a moment. and just feel what you're feeling in your body. It's an interesting experience because something we seldom think about, but since in the last week we've been reflecting on the movement and interaction of heavenly bodies, like the earth, the sun, and the moon, just let yourself feel Mother Earth's magnetic pull. What we call the force of gravity. And just realize for a moment that if we were on some other celestial body, like the moon or Mars or wherever the force of gravity is not as powerful as it is on Earth, we'd likely be floating around in the air. Or it would be very easy for us to sort of bounce up into the air. Mother Earth holds us securely. Just let yourself feel that right now. And let yourself feel that as an expression of Mother Earth's love. Like she's holding you to her breast. And then let yourself experience your body breathing. Feel the breath coming into the body and flowing out of the body. And just take a moment to reflect on these two invisible forces. In other words, the force of gravity is invisible, and the air we breathe is invisible. And yet one holds us secure and the other feeds us. And then this body that we live in has the wisdom to know how to extract nutrition from this invisible air that's produced by Mother Earth's trees and forests and grasses and plants. They're all providing this air for us. And it feeds us and nourishes every part of our body. And it's the essential substance that allows us to maintain our existence in this body. Absolutely invisible. And you think nothing miraculous has ever happened to you. It's happening in every moment. As that beautiful song Ty and the group sang earlier, you are a miracle. And the next question might be a question that was part of the path offered by a wonderful teacher named Ramana Maharshi. The path is called Vichara Atma, or self-inquiry. And his path is simply repeatedly asking the question, who am I? And then you go through the question of who am I, and you start to see, well, I'm not my body because it keeps changing. Mine certainly has. I'm not my thoughts because they keep changing. I'm not the sensations I experience because they keep changing. Who am I? Well, in our meditation tradition, the one that I teach, which is Vipassana from the Theravadan Buddhist tradition, who we are is simply the awareness that experiences all of this. In other words, there is an awareness in us, pure awareness, beneath sensation, sound, and thought, beyond opinion, beyond knowledge, just pure awareness that has never changed, not one bit, since before we were born, since we were in our mother's womb. Pure awareness. And we come out of our mother's womb, and I don't know what happened to you, but the first thing they did to me was spank me. What an entry into the world. But just notice, if you can, the essential awareness that has never changed. It's like an ocean that you're swimming in. And you see fish, and you see boats on the surface, and you see all kinds of stuff. You look up at the sky, and you see clouds. But you're just floating in this ocean, pure awareness, never changing. And that's essentially what these teachers are talking about when they say, whoever you think you aren't. Because it isn't a thought, you know. But if I wake up in the morning and I say, oh geez, where's my duffel bag? I gotta smear some stuff on myself again to get the day started off right. You know? It isn't that. So we carry around this history which is so burdensome. If we could just let it go, how different our experience of life would be. I mean, imagine all of these experiences that our culture is going through when we talk about it being such a divisive time and everybody's arguing with everybody. I was once sitting with Ram Dass on Maui, and this was probably about 10 years ago. We were having breakfast, and he'd been on Maui for quite a few years at that point, and certainly not out of touch, because he liked to read the news and watch the news every day. But I had just arrived from the mainland, and I had said, you know, Ram Dass, it's all getting so crazy on the mainland. You know, everybody's arguing with each other. People are hating each other because of the things that they believe. And he said, it's just this divisive, I said, it's this divisive, argumentative time. And he looked at me and he said, that's hell. It's one of my favorite stories, picking up on that theme, from the Zen tradition. A samurai warrior has completed his samurai training in Japan, and he decides that the one thing that's missing in his training is wisdom. So he decides he has to go see a Zen priest. And so there's this monk that lives up on the mountain all by himself, and everybody says, oh, he's really very high guy, you should go see him. So he goes to see the Zen monk, and samurai knocks on the door. He's a great big guy, knocks on the door. The little monk comes to the door, and he opens the door and he says, oh yes, my son, What can I do for you? And the samurai looks at him and he says, Monk, I need you to teach me about heaven and hell. And the monk looks up at him and he says, teach you? What on earth could I possibly teach you? Look at you, you're dirty, you smell bad, your clothes are a mess, I don't think I could teach you anything. You don't seem to have any discipline. I bet your sword isn't even sharp. Well, the samurai becomes furious, and he reaches his sword and he pulls it out of his sheath and he holds it up over his head and he says, you preposterous little monk, I'll cut your head off without batting an eye. And the monk looks at him and he said, that's hell. The monk gets it. He realizes, or the samurai gets it, and he realizes the monk has just offered his life to teach this man something. Takes his sword and he puts it back in its sheath, and he bows to the monk. And the monk says, and that's heaven. So, if nothing else, we're getting a lot of opportunities for this kind of teaching and training these days in our world, in our culture. I was writing a story about Ram Dass where I met him in the early 1980s at his father's condominium in Boston, overlooking Boston Harbor. And I got there and I thought, this is really far out, because I, at the time, had been taking care of my father, who was dying of throat and lung cancer, and here in New Jersey. And my father, those of you who've heard me speak in the past may have heard me say that he was probably the greatest teacher in my life because he was so difficult. He was just one of those fathers. And I suppose none of you have a father like that, but I do. So, but I went to see Ram Dass, and I'm thinking my thoughts are so full of my father, and I can't seem to get free of him. And here I am with Ram Dass, and I'm blowing this opportunity to visit with my dear spiritual friend and teacher. And he's like, what's on your mind? And I said, well, my father's driving me crazy. And he said, what's happening? And I told him, I said, basically what it boils down to, Ram Dass, is that I took 3 years of my life off to take care of him, and he doesn't seem to appreciate it. And he's being cranky and nasty and unpleasant, and I said, I guess what it means is that I think I'm Mother Teresa, and he's not reinforcing that image of myself. And Ram Dass looked at me and he said, you can't do it for that. You can't do it to get something from him. You have to do it because it's the right thing to do. I thought, So I said, but I don't know what to do with my anger toward him. Ram Dass looks at me and he says, don't you understand that all anger is anger at God? Now, I don't know about you, but I heard that and I went, what? He said, don't you understand that all anger is anger at God? I said, no, I guess I don't understand that. I felt like a spiritual dunce at that moment. So my teacher is saying this, all anger is, I said, can you explain it to me? And he said, well, whenever you get angry, what you're really saying is, if I were God, I would have created the universe better than this. If I were God, you're saying if I were God, I would have created a better father than this. Like, this isn't the father I had in mind. He said, this is the father God gave you. Your father's just being the way God made him. That's his problem. If you get upset about it, now it's your problem. He said, you're going to spend the rest of your life angry about the way God made your father? And I was sitting there thinking, well, I was sort of planning on that, but I guess you have a different idea. So we sat in silence for a few moments, and Ram Dass looked at me and he said, I have an idea. And I thought, oh, crap, here it comes. Whatever this is not going to be good. I said, uh-huh. He said, why don't you see your father as your guru? My heart sank. I said, my father? My guru? Ramananda looks at me, smiles. He says, of course, who else could he possibly be? Now, the thing that really bothered me about that was that I knew what that meant. He and I were talking a certain language that we shared, and if I took my father as my guru, he wouldn't be wrong anymore. I had to give up thinking of him as wrong. And I finally said, okay, I'll give it a try. Now, we are caught in this trap of our own minds in which we look at the universe and we say, this is wrong, that's wrong, this person is wrong, this shouldn't have happened, this shouldn't be going on. And there are all kinds of things that we can apply that to, and with great justification. I can look at the TV last night and say, well, countries shouldn't be bombing each other, this is not good. But it's happening on this planet right now. And that teacher Emmanuel, who I mentioned earlier, said to us once, you're in a school, why don't you try taking the curriculum? And then our guru not my father, but in India, Neem Karoli Baba, used to do this frustrating thing. He would say, can't you see it's all perfect? And you say, perfect? Perfect? What on earth is he talking about? This was back in the 1970s, during the Vietnam War, during a horrific flood in Bangladesh, during a horrific famine in Biafra in Africa. And he's saying, can't you see it's all perfect? He'd get very frustrated. Can't you see it's all perfect? What does that mean? No, I don't see it's all perfect. It looks like a mess. And this teacher Emmanuel once said to me, whenever you hear the words wrong and shouldn't arise in your mind, you're headed for suffering. So what does that mean? Does that mean that there are nothing is wrong? And yeah, nothing is wrong. And yet, it's like you see the world as it is with eyes open and heart open, and you work as hard as you can to make it better. All the while understanding that at another level, it's perfect. And if you don't like the word perfect, you can just say, well, it just is the way it is. There is nothing that any of us could do to change anything that has happened in history in our personal lives or in our planetary life. It's one of the reasons the teaching of Be Here Now, the power of now, those teachings are so powerful, because there's nothing you can do about anything that isn't now. You can plan for the future, but I don't know about you, but I had a lot of times where I had plans that didn't quite turn out the way I planned them. Right now, what can we do right now? We can change our hearts, open our hearts, be present to life as it is. And when we start to do that, our hearts just naturally open. If you live in the moment, instead of carrying all this baggage of history, and just live in the moment, meet people in the moment, it's so fascinating. Every person you meet is a new person. Every meeting is a new meeting. Every day you wake up, it's a new day. It's a new life. It's a new beginning. Unless you pick up the duffel bag and reach in and grab some stuff and smear it on yourself. Now, this gets tricky because, for a number of years I was teaching meditation in prisons. And I was teaching meditation to people who were not just convicted murderers, but confessed murderers. And they were coming to my meditation classes to try to gain some peace, to try to find some forgiveness for themselves. And I was really happy to offer a practice that might help them come out of prison, if they did come out, feeling not that they've been in an environment where violence and hatred have been magnified, but maybe they've been in an environment where they could cultivate peacefulness that would actually change their presence on this planet. So I gave them love as much as I could, because what was to be gained by saying you're a terrible person and what you did was unforgivable? I think that it's incumbent upon a society to remove people from the society sometimes when they show that they're a danger to other human beings. But we could do it a lot differently. Ram Dass had this idea years ago. He created something called the Prison Ashram Project, which was where he used to lecture in prisons, and he saw this incredible situation where he also lectured in monasteries. And he once asked the head abbot of one of the monasteries, "Explain to me what you're doing here with the monks." And the abbot said, "Well, we remove the monks from society and put them in a cell." They actually call it a cell in monastery. We put them in a cell where they're by themselves. We give them clothes to wear and we tell them what to do all day. And that frees them to do their inner work. And then he'd be in prison the next day and he'd say, "Well, what's the difference except that we see it differently," right? You could use that time for real transformation. So let me just tell you one last story. It's a great story. A fellow was working at Ram Dass's house on Maui. And as Ram Dass got older, he died 4 years ago at the age of 88. And he'd had a stroke and he had all kinds of physical problems. And there was this wonderful woman named Dasi Ma, who her role in life was to keep him alive and as long as possible and as healthy as possible. And that was what she lived for. So she was, as they say, the gatekeeper. And she kept everybody at bay who was, going to take too much time or energy from Ram Dass. And so this young fellow who was working at the house was sort of observing this process. And one day he said to Ram Dass, when Dasi had told him there was something he wanted to do that he couldn't do. And the young fellow looked at Ram Dass and he said, "Does this house ever feel like a prison to you?" And Ram Dass sat for a moment and he looked at him and he said, "This is the prison." So let our experience on this planet, in this lifetime, at this time in history, be an experience of getting liberated from this prison, so that we can let our awareness float down into the heaven realm that's right here, our hearts, so that we live more and more in our natural compassion, in that place in us which just naturally loves other human beings. If we let ourselves let go of fear and judgment and just go into that space, no matter what their initial reaction might be, just stay in love, And it's tricky because, like Ram Dass was telling me with my father, I was only going to love him if he was nice to me. And Ram Dass was saying, no, love him when he isn't nice to you. Because you'll be happier. And maybe he'll come around. And he did, and that's a whole other story I'll have to tell you the next time. But let's just take a few moments once again to close our eyes and breathe in and out of the heart, just as if you had a nostril, a big nostril in the center of your chest. And feel the breath entering directly into your heart. Feel the breath as if it's caressing your heart. And then look inside your heart to see what we call the spiritual heart. In India is known as the Hridayam. And it's the place in us that is connected to everything, connected to the source of everything. It's the place in us where natural compassion exists. Where when you see a fellow human being fall down and get hurt, you rush to their aid without thinking about it. Spontaneous, natural compassion. And feel that place in the center of your heart. In India, it's described as a brilliant white light about the size of a thumb, but it's actually infinite. So let that thumb-sized point of light in the center of your heart grow and expand outward until it fills your entire body with the radiant light of love, brighter than 10,000 suns. And let it just keep flowing out beyond the boundaries of your skin until it moves out and fills this entire sacred sanctuary with the brilliant light of love. Reaching out to touch the hearts of everyone else in this room, and then flowing out beyond the walls of this sacred temple, out into Montclair, across the entire planet. Our heart, the light of love in our heart, illuminating this entire planet. It's the light we refer to when we use the word namaste. The one light we all share. I honor the light within you. The light in me honors the light in you. And I honor that place in you and in me, where when you are in yours and I am in mine, there is only one of us. Namaste. Thank you all. Thank you for coming. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You are the face of God, face of God. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are the face of God. Join it if you can. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are my family. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. Let's do that again. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are the face of God. One last time. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are my family. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Thank you for that song. Let's show our appreciation for Ramananda John E. You can see why 30 minutes of John is not enough. There is so much more there, and please, sign up for his meditation. So you've got a website for people to sign up there. He's got a card in the back and the books and everything, and all of that is really, really, so accessible to us now. The access we have goes way beyond just our time here, which is fantastic. So, just for those who don't know, as we step into this next portion, my name is Reverend Neil Pinkman. I'm the spiritual director of this community. The community's been here. We're going now into our 23rd year. Not bad. It is just such a privilege and a thrill to know that all of us together have helped thousands of people on their spiritual journeys. And that's just it. We don't tell you what your journey should be, but we help you find what is your journey through these classes, everything else that we do, guests like John. So everybody you're welcome here. If you want to know more about what we do and you don't know, see me afterwards or cslnj.org. You can find out more. So, we love this place.
Yes, we do.
And the great part is we have a great relationship with the people here. And it was so nice. You know, they've been so kind to us and welcoming us in. And we just finished 1 year here. And this is great to be able to come together here. And we're going to come in person more and more and more as we come back. So this is wonderful. And they really like us. I had a conversation with them the other day about how this is going, and they love how we leave the place, how nice we are, how we don't ask for a lot of stuff. So there's really a really great relationship going here, and thank you all for making that happen, because this is a beautiful place to be. This is just gorgeous. So, there is one thing. Please be sure you put the right items in the right recycled containers. They did say they're finding a few in the wrong containers, so they're pretty well labeled back there. So if you would, please pay attention to that. We will, next week is the 21st. We're on Zoom next week, is that right? Tony, are you speaking next week on the 21st? It is on Zoom, right, and you're speaking, so that'll be good. We'll see you there then. We will not be here, but we will be back on the 28th when we will hear from Reverend Evelyn on the 28th. So we look forward to that. As usual, we want to thank everybody for all the giving they've done for a long time and great amount to cover this 23 years here. This particular Sunday is being sponsored again by Giovanna Canoe. Thank you, Giovanna. I haven't got many of the elevator speeches back, but I'm learning more and more as I have engagements with people outside of our particular community here, how important it is and how clear it is. So please, if you want to know more about that, ask me. If you already know, please send me yours. We'd also like to know your demonstrations. Listen, the things that we're talking about have changed lives, and if it's changed something in your life, send me an email. Let me know what it is. I'd like to share it. Maybe you share it in from the podium on a Sunday, or maybe it's just in the newsletters. But, a lot of people improve their lives and get very inspired from what we do. We'd like to know those stories. As far as classes, Bill, I think, has a new class starting pretty soon. We're going to get that up and running. So that'll be coming. For those of you who were wondering how the physics of God goes, basically studying quantum science to prove the existence of God. Minor task, not a problem. Some of those hallucinogenics might have helped in understanding that conversation as we go through it, but it's been as somebody, I don't know whether it was you that said, this is mind-blowing stuff. It's really mind-blowing stuff, but it relates so much to spirituality that it's been a fantastic experience. And we will look to do that again if people are interested. And now, Cindy, if you and Bill would be so kind, we're going to, as we do, show our appreciation, our gratitude, and thank you for your giving here today so that we can be here for another 23 years. And for those of you that are thinking, I hope he's not up there 23 years from now, I will not be, I guarantee you that. So,
come on, what do you think?
But if you would, please read along with me our conscious giving affirmation. I bless this gift that I give today. I give this gift from my heart, and I give it mindfully. May my gift go further to heal, prosper, and bless this center and all who enter. I accept all good that comes as a result of this flow, knowing that it returns to be multiplied abundantly, and so it is. For those of you who give electronically, if the basket comes by, just bless it and pass it on. We appreciate you. every part of the giving that's done here, through volunteers, financial, in every way. It is all greatly appreciated. So I think that's it as far as getting everybody caught up on everything. And thank you all for being here. Love you.
You don't think you're going to get off that easy, do you? So, the moment you hear the move, the groove hit it, it's time to get up. So those of you who don't know this is a song called Power to Change that I wrote with a friend of mine in Moscow. And it simply says that, big question, what if the world was a better place because of you? Okay? And that's what we're going to do. What if the world was a better place because of you? What if you had more love and compassion in all you do? The world would be a better place. We all live with ease and grace. Just believe in the dream, it can really come true. Here's what you do. Join the heart. Let love's healing start. Join the hands. Let love heal the land. 'Cause I got it, you got it, the power to change the world. I got it, you got it, the power to change the world. Second question. What if your smile was the currency to purchase the dream? What if the heart held every soul as its love supreme? Love supreme. We wouldn't study war no more. Oh, love always at the core. Lifting the world, all people to the highest esteem. Ooh, it's more than a dream. Join the heart. Let love's healing start. Join hands. Let love heal the land. 'Cause I got it, you got it, the power to change the world. I got it, you got it, the power to change. One more time. I got it, you got it, the power to change the world. I got it, you got it, the power to change the world. Now this time when you come back, you're going to sing it on your own, right? I'm going to listen closely.